Hello and welcome to the mod spotlight for Industrial Foregoing. I'm going to try and go through everything in this mod, so we'll see how we do. I've got the item splitter here, so you can see if I put this half stack in, it's going to split the items equally, and you can choose the stack size as you saw there, and it's going to put them, we've got some into this pit of fuel generator, and then we've got some into the block placer. The block place can place items to the side, front and back, but not up and down, and it's going to place a block there and replace it once these tree fluid extractors have extracted all the latex from it. Once they've extracted all the latex, they're going to put the latex via this retriever into the black hole tank. And the black hole tank, using a retriever here, you need to use retrievers. If I wanted to do a path between these two blocks with just the one gap, I would have to use a servo from the black hole tank. By the way, the latex is going into the right hand side, and in the left hand side, which is the opposite to the way I've got it set up, but oh well, we've got the water condensator, and you can take a look at this black hole tank just to see it's full at the moment. This is how fast it's going in. We've got a resonant retriever, superlaminar flux ducts as well, so you can see it's going in at a real pace. And this is to make plastic. So in the industrial foregoing, similarly to Ender IO, where you need glowstone and then you need ender pearls to progress through the various stages. The first step you need in industrial foregoing is plastic, and this is the way to make it. Now if we move into the next section I've got here, we're going to look at some of the other generators. So here we have what is a resources fisher. So what this is going to do, it's going to grab resources and pull them into its inventory. And then I've got quite an interesting system here where I'm using the nearest path first, right? So essentially what happens is these fish, most of them are going to go in here, into this protein reactor. And they're going to mainly be stocked up. And the raw fish especially will always be at 16 because that's the most commonly caught thing in the resources fisher. And it's going to create protein. And you can see we get a certain efficiency. And if you have 9 items, you're going to have much more efficiency. Once we've got this protein in the protein reactor, we're going to feed it into the protein generator, and that will convert the protein into power. And that's what I'm using to power everything on this line here. Now, because of the large amount of regular fish that get caught, the fact that it's the most commonly caught item, what you're going to see is that you're going to have a little bit extra. And those extra things are going to go into the resourceful furnace. I've got in here an item stack transfer add-on. It's something which you can set to where you want to push or pull items, and you can also do it with fluids, and I'll show that a bit later. So all these cooked items are being extracted into this chest out here. And essentially this creates essence. So the essence is being extracted into the next line of things, right? So here we have an enchantment extractor. So essentially if we get an enchanted item, so we might have some enchanted items down here. Take this, and I'll show you what's going on there in a sec. If we put the enchanted item in, we use books, and it's going to take the books out, and it's going to return the unenchanted item. So this is not really a workable system. This is just something that I wanted to show would happen. The way they actually get here is through this block, which is the enchantment sorter. So essentially when an item lands in here, it will see if it's an enchanted item or no enchanted item, and then it will go to a different place depending on, and if it's enchanted it's going to go in here, the books will extract it, and then we'll do some further extractions from there. A lot of stuff though will end up in here, in this chest, and we have an extraction conveyor upgrade on here with an empty blacklist, so anything can go through here. Now say we get some unenchanted items, so we might get, for instance, that bow, which are to be unenchanted, it might end up here, right? So what we could do is we could put it in here, the enchantment factory, and this will do a level 30 enchant, and then it will output into a chest here. So these aren't enchanted items that you see; they're the ones that have actually had that level 30 enchant applied. We also have this guy as well. This one has got a insertion conveyor upgrade. There's a couple of different options as well. You can do it inserting lines in all the conveyor or touching the upgrade spot there. But I think the conveyor actually has to be placed in the right spot there. The enchantment applicator is one where you may want to grab, say, an enchanted book. You may want to grab it, and then you can just do it. You can do what you like manually here, right? And then it will just use a little bit of essence, and then it will do the enchant for you. So similarly to the protein reactor, we also have the bioreactor, which takes plants instead of animal matter. And again, it has exactly the same setup, but it does create biofuel instead. And the biofuel, I believe it can power up 28 biofuel generators, and they'll convert the biofuel into power. So what do we have here? This is an interesting setup where we have the plant gatherer. We can also use this guy as well, which is a leaf shearing add-on. We could put that in here. Now there are some issues with the plant gatherer. Well, there's not issues, but it's just it doesn't pick up the drops. So I've got it currently to gathering plants. So you can see as these plants grow, and they're being sped up in their growth, I'll show you in a minute, they're being gathered and then they're being put into various different places. As you can see, I also have simple harvest on, which helps them not to go all over the place when you gather them. There still is a little bit of drop, so that I think just it seems to be when it's next to this area over here though. Wow, maybe that was from before actually. I think now it's actually the fact there's no other drops anywhere else tells me that's probably not a problem anymore. The problem does start though when you have a. I'll show you what happens when we do the whole lot. So get rid of the leaves. A lot of leaves. So you can choose whether to use that or not. It's just one of the add-ons you have for it. And you can see the way it is. Like I have this range add-on, range +4. So you see what will happen now is you're going to see more drops. So you can see when you actually have the trees going at the same time, you do tend to get more drops, whereas opposed to it's actually more advisable if you're going to do this with the plant gatherer. We've also got this hydrator over here, and I've got a range add-on 5 in that. And what's actually planting the plants is the plant sower. So ideally you wouldn't do it quite in this configuration, just so you can avoid getting drops. And the reason the drops happen, I think, is to do with the block update with the tree being adjacent to the actual plant. Because often when you see an item landing on the ground, it is very near the trees. Now one other thing that is actually kind of interesting, especially if you want it from a visual perspective, is you'll notice I had to put that hydrator a little bit off center, but what you would actually do is you would want to have the hydrator on the bottom, and then you would want a generator in the middle, because the point about the generators will export their power to any adjacent block. Let's see if we're getting any drops. I think this farm is actually running pretty nicely actually. Yeah, it looks to be running pretty nicely. Another thing it's doing, the plant gather, as it gathers things, it generates sludge, which I've got coming out here. And remember, if you want to do this, you have to use the servo. As you can see, we've got sludge coming into this tank. And then we have the sludge refiner. And the sludge refiner can produce these items over here. It's not actually extracting, so let's make sure it does. We can see more items getting produced here. You can see that there are some item drops here, and it's often when the tree grows, whereas there were no item drops when the trees weren't there. So one way to do it would be to have a massively, you could expand the range, like, so you have no chance of the trees causing block updates. I think it's to do with block updates, right? Because you see, especially the fact there were so many in this corner when I arrived. It's because this is really near to the trees, right? Whereas if you look on around here, there was something, but then again that might have fallen from another block. I'm pretty sure there are more near the. I mean, of course you could use a very strong and powerful vacuum hopper to avoid the item drops as well. It just depends how you want to do it. So yeah, so just to clarify, we have the plant gatherer, we have the plant sower, the hydrator to make it go faster, the plant gatherer, which generates sludge, and the sludge refiner, which generates items, including clay as well as mycelium. Lots of very useful items actually in here. Podzol as well. So you can get like pretty cool stuff. But yeah, like I say, it is easier though to separate your tree and your plants there. Around here we can store some of this wood, as you can see I've got here. Here we have a spores recreator. So this does require water. But if we had water, you can see we can essentially increase the amount of mushrooms we have. So this would need to be in the input section there. Let's try that again. Another thing actually I didn't show you is when you hover over this, you see it says hovering with water. So you can actually left click at that point. So this is a way to interact with the inventories, which is kind of interesting. Hovering with bucket. So with a larger tank, we'll be able to do some more interesting stuff. Okay, here we have the froster. Put some water in there. You can see we can generate ice from the water, snowballs as well. And we've also got packed ice for 2.5 buckets. Here we have the ore processor. If you put a load of fluid essence in there, normally it will just process ore and give you a 1-to-1. But with fluid essence, it actually gives you a little bit more. It essentially puts fortune on for you. Okay, so here we have a lava area. So this is something that you often try and do if you want to use lava power. And there's certainly a way to do that. If we take the look at the fluid pump, we can see we've got a filter of lava. I've also got the fluid transfer add-on, similarly to the item transfer add-on that I was using before. And this will just put lava into the tank like this. So there's different ways to... So there's our petrology. This is a lava fabricator, by the way. So this actually doesn't need any lava, it just generates the lava. And it's pretty awesome. So we can turn that on. You can see it takes a while to do it, but it can potentially do a lava bucket every tick. It just depends on how fast you're going to get the energy into it. And we'll speak a bit more about energy in a moment. So you can see there's some extra lava. It's not coming from this lava field, it's just I wanted to group together the items. But yeah, so if we want to grab this lava, we can see what happens. So you can see it's grabbing the lava. Now one of the interesting things that you may notice about the range upgrade is that they're different for different items. And I believe this is the largest one. So if we look at the range upgrade... So one of the things you may notice about range upgrades is they're different for different items. So let's have a look at the range upgrade. So at the moment we've got a range of 5, right? Let's have a look at that size. Okay, that's pretty big, right, for a range of 5. But if we do a range of this one, which is 12, take a look at the size now. Do a range of 12 on this. This is the size. It's a huge area, right? So this you can use to carve out huge areas in the nether of lava. It's not often thought that you can do that. People don't really think about that, but it is the case. But yeah, as you can see, this is a 23 by 25 box here. 23 by 23 box of lava. So you can see that 5 upgrade is a 25 by 25 area there. Okay, here we have something called the energy field provider. So what the energy field provider does is it lets you have wireless power within an area, but it does it using this thing, the energy field add-on. So if I click on here, if I shift right click on here, you'll see it's going to be linked to it. And it has an internal charge. It starts at 0. Once you place it into a machine, it gets going. And what you can do is you can use it basically to power machines remotely. So none of these blocks that I've got with this animal section I'm about to show you, they're not connected to any power generators. So here we have the animal rancher. You can see I've got an ng field add-on here, and it's connected to that block. So this way we're keeping our power in stock all the time. So we're using power, but you can see it's full. Everything's full up. And we can take a look at the range, and you can see it's just using that area. When you do the animal stuff, you really have to look at the range a lot. And essentially, what this item can do, the animal rancher, is, as you can tell, it gets wool, it gets ink sacs from squid, and it also gets milk buckets as well. So if you need milk, or you need ink, or wool, it will help you get that. But here's the real... Now, it's a little bit messy what's going on here. I could probably do an XP vacuum here. But what I've got here, I have 2 animal baby separators. So what working with the animals it's very, very interesting in industrial foregoing. Now, my first thought about this was that we could take the animal baby separator, yeah? And I've got 2. One of them I put the adult filter in. Basically what happens is to make it clear, the baby sheep here, once they grow up, they get transferred into this section, okay? And here they breed, right? So basically, okay, so the way it works is this. We've got these lambs here, right? Once the lambs grow up, the animal baby separator will separate them into different spots. So the adult sheep will go over here. Then when the adult sheep breed over here, then the baby sheep will go back over there. So there's one of these animal baby separators is to tell the baby sheep once they've grown up to go to the grown up area, and the other one is when the sheep have bred, for the lambs to go back to this area. Now the sheep grow up really fast if you use this, the animal grower, and we'll get into that in a moment. I just want to talk about what other blocks we've got here. The animal sewer, this is collecting sewage from the animals. And interestingly, you need this, by the way, to make the hydrator, which grows the plants more quickly, because the hydrator requires fertilizer. So we have the animal feeder here. So what the animal feeder will do is it will breed the animals. And so let's make sure I've got everything turned on. This one I wasn't using. There's a thing called a mob. You may have actually seen it there. But yeah, the animals will get teleported across. You'll be able to see it once I turn on. I think most things are turned on. What I was doing here is I wanted to have a mob slaughter factory so we could kill some of the sheep, and I thought, which size is the best for what size you've got here? And my conclusion is actually probably it's a little bit bigger than this one and a little bit smaller than this one. Basically, you want to keep some of the sheep alive so they can breed and you can continue on. But you need to. The reason you need to slaughter them is so you can get these items, the liquid meat and the pink slime. So in general, what I decided was not to use this one. As you can see, you'll occasionally get a sheep to die in here, but it's not going to be that often because they need to go in just the right spot. So let's have a look and turn it on properly. This is too far away, by the way. But take a look how fast these sheep are going to grow up now. You can see their numbers just rapidly dwindling. Right, and you can see that, obviously you can see them teleport as they grow, right? See, they get teleported over. And you can see there's the breeding. The breeding does occur. And you can see, there we go, we've got a baby going over this side now. So essentially the process is they do the breeding. Should see a few more babies come over this side. Let's see if we can see that. happening. There we go, there's another one. So yeah, so it's pretty good. It's a pretty good system this that I've got. The only problem is if you leave this on for too long, it's best just to turn this off for a while because it doesn't really need to be on all the time. It uses a lot of wheat up. And like I say, this could be a bit bigger, but eventually you will get some sheep going. They do tend to be. You see, there's one. So maybe that is actually quite a good size because you don't want them to die, obviously. But the real slowdown is in the so the things that I could improve to this system. So yeah, so you can see most of the time the sheep, you're going to be able to avoid them going right into this corner. But this is a good, like I said, this is the way that you can get both liquid meat and pink slime, which are pink slime especially is the most important material for the late game, right? So you can, hopefully with this system, keep most of these things, most of the sheep alive, while still getting the resources you need for the late game. Okay, so here we've got the black hole controller version 2. We can store up to 12 black hole tanks inside here, and we can extract various liquids. So you saw in the last machine, the slaughter factory, we had liquid meat. So if we put it in the washing factory, what we can do, not with diamond ore, admittedly, but with a lot of ores, we can put in, and we can use the washing factory to wash the ore with liquid meat, and it will create raw ore meat. And then if we have a cold source and a warm source, so I've got magma packed ice on the back, that will create the fermented ore meat. So we use the fermentation station to get the fermented ore meat, and then from here you can see we're going to get ore doubling in the fluid sieving machine. Now to get ores you may want to use this, the laser drill. So you need to have 4 laser drills around the laser base, and you can put various different lenses in here. So I put in a light blue laser lens, and that was for diamonds, and as you can see just from this very small amount that I've done, we're getting far more diamond ore.